Looks like 7 o'clock. Greg, you good?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Good evening. Welcome to the February 28th, 2022 meeting of the Marshfield Planning Board. Time is now 7 o'clock p.m. Tonight's meeting is being recorded by MCTV, and we are holding a live remote meeting via Zoom. Tonight's members here are Katie O'Donnell, Nick Papastratis, Fred Monaco, Kevin Cantwell is absent. I'm Mike Viviano, chair, and our associate member is Scott DeCastro. Also with us here tonight are Greg Guimon, our town planner, and Karen Horn, our assistant town planner. At this time, I'll make a motion to open up tonight's public meeting. Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Nick?
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Fred?
Fred Monaco, aye.
Scott?
Scott DeCastro, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. Okay. What's the first item, Greg?
The first item was Red Gulf. It is the continued public hearing on the modification for the final building at the Proprietors Marketplace, PMUD.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we reopen the hearing for the Proprietors Marketplace PMUD. Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Fred Monaco, aye.
Mike Viviano, aye. Scott?
Scott DeCastro, aye.
Okay, so this meeting is open, and I think,
Bob Rigo will and the applicant are both here.
okay, I'll let you take it away, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So during the last meeting, presented the overall project, and there was a few concerns raised by a budding condominium owner that's in the existing building number 3, which is to the east of the proposed building 2 that we're proposing. The project proponent or applicant met with that unit owner, and I believe ironed out the concerns. There was some current concerns over the use of the small the landscaped area between building 2 and building 3. And I had mentioned a fire pit in the last hearing, which that's definitely off the table now as not going to be present or proposed. It's just going to be basically 2 fences between the buildings that kind of limit the access for parking in the rear. You'll have to go through a series 2 gates to get from that side over more towards the restaurant side of the building. I did also.
You want to pull the plan up, Bob?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll pull the plan up. Yes, please.
Hold on, Bob. I'll make you a co-host.
Okay.
All right, you're a co-host.
Okay. I will share my screen. Share. Can everybody see that?
We can.
Yep. Yes,
Okay,
we can.
great, thanks. So the area I was discussing is right in here. The unit owner, I believe his name is Mr. Greeny, Walter Greeny, lives in the unit which is on the 2nd and 3rd floors of building 3. And currently, with no building there, he has a nice view of the green. But under the original project, we had proposed a bigger building, which I don't know the clarity of this, whether it's you can see it or not, but it's outlined in red was the former building. So it was a lot longer and bigger, than the proposed building, but it was definitely shorter in height. And I just on the left side of the plan over here, we have just a graphic that just shows the scale of the old building, and then the scale of the new proposed building, and then we're looking out from the 2nd floor at basically a 5-foot eye level height. You'd still be looking over. You would look over the top of the approved building, I guess, whereas you would not be able to look over the top of the proposed building, but you wouldn't be able to see the green. You'd be looking over at the apartment building beyond, because the view angle would not allow you to see down to the green. You well past the green before you hit the horizon. But on this side, you can see you actually do, because the building is smaller in terms of footprint, you actually be gaining a sneak at the green from the second story window or from first and second story windows, and also the I should correct that, the second and third story windows. You'd have a peek at the green on this side, and then a little sliver over on this side. So it could be argued that the view actually would be improved with the new building over the historically approved building. So we addressed that, and again, I believe Chris McKenna met with Walter, Mr. Greeny, and they discussed this, and I think, I'm sorry. So I believe it was, I believe he addressed their concerns. And then the only other changes we made to the plans related to comments from Pat Brennan of Amory. So we addressed each of his concerns, which I could go through, or just basically he did issue a letter today indicating that all of his concerns were satisfied. Really of concern to the planning board probably is just, we did add a guardrail along the slope on the southeastern portion of the property. There's kind of a steep area that abuts a drainage entry into the culvert that crosses the street. So it's rather steep in this area. So we're proposing
Hey, Bob, hang on one second. Bob, hang on 1 minute. Whoever is Zoom user, you need to mute.
I just muted him.
Okay.
Oh, no, somebody else is on.
There you go. So leave yourself zoomed if you could, please.
Okay, so that area over there is a little steeper as you get further down along the parallel parking spaces on the southern side of the property. That's a much gradualer slope, so not really required for the guardrail along that section. And that's really the major one. There was the drainage question, which we addressed about connection to existing catch basin or manhole, excuse me, right here at the entrance into the property. That is a 6-foot diameter manhole, and we're able to slide down the proposed connection, and it should fit no problem between the two pipes that come in on either side. The septic system, there was a question about connection for this building to the septic system. This entire septic system, including all tankage and the soil absorption systems, has been fully constructed. So it's just a matter of making a pipe connection from the building into this existing 10,000 gallon tank. And then there's a question about the original plan showed fence around this dumpster area over here that's associated with building 3 and 4. So that fence actually, they began construction of that fence today and got 3 sides of it up. They're just waiting for some gates to be added to it. So that's partially there and will be fully constructed maybe within the next week. The other question was, there was a dumpster associated with the Mia Ragazza, the restaurant building over here. They were formerly located in this general area of the site. They've been moved over to the northern side of Mia Ragazza. So those have been permanently moved in their screens have been placed around them, I guess, fences. Let's see. And there was some landscaping that was originally shown on the plan. We've re-shown that. Some of it has been installed, but the rest is generally proposed to be planted. This tree right here has already been planted, but the remainder of the landscape shown on here and plantings will be planted in the future. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Pat, do you have anything to add?
No, just Bob, as he mentioned, he addressed all the comments that I had. I sent a letter over to the board this morning stating that. So, he's fully addressed my comments at this point.
Okay, thank you. Greg, anything?
No.
Okay. Any members of the board have any questions? Are there any members of the public that are here to speak on this? If you hear from the public, just raise your hand and I can call on you.
Bob, can
anybody-
you stop screen sharing so we could see the full screen? Sorry.
Yes, I apologize.
It's
Stop
okay.
share. Yes.
Thanks.
So, Bob, you guys are all set with that neighbor. Do you have a letter from them or anything?
Chris
don't see them
McKenna
here.
is on the, I believe he's here in the meeting. Maybe he could speak to that. Yeah, he spoke with him, but I don't believe he issued a letter.
Okay. You think he's here?
Chris, yeah, he was on. I think he's the person's phone who was, he's in Florida, but he's trying on his phone, so.
Is Chris Zoom user?
Probably was, yes.
Okay. There you go, Chris. Is that you?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure your thoughts were addressed here.
Yeah, I met with Walter last week. He had a concern about the fire that we had proposed, and I told him we wanted us to keep the fences for privacy, and so we've done that. And then there was a balcony in the building that he asked me to move over, and I've agreed to do that. And he, shook my hand, said that's all he was concerned with. Also, originally, we showed Walter these plans, and he did sign off on the increased use for the residential for our condominium complex, for our condo dock. So he did sign off on that. I didn't ask him to write a letter or anything. I invited him to the meeting, and but his concerns were all met as far as I know.
Okay. Can you just give your name and address for the meeting record?
I'm Chris McKenna, 4 Rhodus Avenue, Cohasset.
Okay.
I'm a partial developer here.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Any other questions from the board at all?
Yeah, Mike, do we want a letter from that tenant that spoke at the last meeting?
Chris, can you mute? I just get all your background music there. I don't know if Chris heard me.
I
There we
muted
go,
him.
great.
Say that again. So,
I muted him.
I think you muted Mike too.
yeah, I'm here.
Chris, we need you to mute, please.
Oh,
Greg, you muted.
Oh.
All right, don't touch me. I got it.
I did it again. Sorry.
I know where the buttons are. I know how this thing works. So, Nick, I would think if they had more concerns that weren't addressed, they'd be here tonight. We haven't had any correspondence from them at all, have we, Greg?
No.
So I don't know. Are you not comfortable moving forward or voting?
I'm just trying to think how we've dealt with this in the past. I guess since obviously those comments were made at the last meeting, I just didn't know if we wanted anything written.
Well, they had concerns. Most of them were addressed except for shifting the building, I believe. And now would be the time for them to be here, or 2 weeks before, send correspondence saying they still have an issue.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's
how's
fair.
everyone else feel?
I would agree with that. I think, again, they would be here. I suppose if we wanted to really make sure, we could say like checking in, but I don't want to open that kind of precedent. So,
Yeah, they had plenty of time if it was not resolved to even just send an email saying it's not resolved if they couldn't be here.
I agree too, Mike. I agree with Katie. Open up the door that, who knows where we'll go with that.
So Greg, do we need anything else before we try a vote here?
So you could vote to close the public hearing, and I will prepare a decision approving the modification of the special permit with the usual conditions, which you guys can review and vote at the next meeting if you want to handle it that way.
Yeah, that would be great. So I'll make anything else from the board members? Okay, I'll make a motion that we close tonight's public hearing. Is there a second?
second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Nick,
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Fred,
Fred Monaco, aye.
and Mike Viviano, aye. Okay, that's closed, and we'll wait for the decision and vote and sign that next time.
Okay.
All right.
The next thing on the agenda was the continued public hearing for Red Gull Farm. The public hearing, the applicant has requested after several discussions with us to continue the public hearing to March 14th without testimony.
Okay, great. I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing for Red Gold Farm until March 14th, 2022 at 7:05 p.m. Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Nick,
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Fred,
Fred Monaco, aye.
Scott,
Scott DeCastro, aye.
and Mike Viviano, aye. So that's continued until March 14th at 7:05. What's next, Greg?
Next is the request for minor modification on the conditions regarding the monitoring wells, testing parameters for 612 Plain Street. I believe the attorney, yes, Adam is here.
Okay, is that a public hearing we need to open?
No, tonight's main question is whether or not you guys would consider allowing it by as a minor modification. The main difference there is that you would not require a public hearing.
Okay, do you want to tell us what it is, or do you want Adam to?
So the original testing parameters had 97 items in it for DEP. They have gotten back to us and they've asked us to take a look at, which staff and Ed Eichner did. And Ed Eichner had, I believe I sent you guys the letter from Attorney Brodsky. And at the back of the letter, the last 2 pages, is the full testing list. And if you look at the columns, specified compound, it'll have a no or yes. Where it's saying no is what Ed is recommending that we could remove from the testing parameters, which will substantially lower the price of the test sampling for the monitoring wells. Staff and the consultant are okay with the reduction in the testing sampling. The one question I did have for Adam was, has the monitoring wells been installed? Because we haven't been notified yet.
Mr. Chair, may I address the question?
Please do. Yep.
Good evening, everyone. Adam Brodsky, representing DJ Sullivan Collision Center, Inc. And the answer is yes, Greg. I approved a letter from Lightship Engineering that should have been sent to you today, but apparently was not, confirming that the wells were installed, surveyed, and providing all of the testing boring logs for you.
Okay.
And the reason we're asking for this modification is really cost. The cost of the entire panoply of constituents was in excess of $30,000 for 3 quarters. And the reduced list is roughly $18,000, still a great deal of money. But it is lesser cost with no no harm that we're not testing for the key constituents that your consultant wants us to test for.
Okay. Personally, I think it would be a minor modification to come in and request it if we decide to do it. We're not actually voting to do it or not yet, right?
No, I will draft a decision for the next meeting that you guys could vote on.
What does everyone else think? Is it okay doing a minor? So we don't have to re-advertise everything over this item?
Yeah, I'd be good with that.
Yeah, I think if staff and our consultants are in agreement, I am too.
Okay. Fred, no objections?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll take that up at the next meeting, and I think a minor is fine.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Okay. Yep, thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
I'm going to skip the board and staff reports for a second. We'll go to the minutes of 2/7/22.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes of 2/7/22. Any discussion? Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Nick?
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Fred?
Fred Monaco, aye.
Scott?
Scott DeCastro, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. Go back to Greg because I don't have an agenda.
So on the board staff reports, just a quick update. Karen did file a shared streets application for 4 additional solar powered PED push button activated crossings. First one would go at Peter Igo Park to get across 139 to the Harbor Walk. Second one would go where the Harbor Walk crosses, where the parking lot for the Harbor Park crosses over and joins the Harbor Walk. The third one would be crossing Webster Street at Snow Road, where those 2 headlights that were blinking all the time that looked like they were going to come off the poles the other night when the wind was blowing pretty bad. And the last location is crossing the Library Plaza Road between Lev and the playground, Marshfield playground. So those are the 4 locations that we've applied for the grant. We are waiting to hear back from our consultant on the MVP grant to wrap that up. We have received a phone call confirming that MAPC will be assisting us with the update to the economic development portion of our master plan.
It's so nice of them.
They will be putting $30,000 towards that effort. So we'll see how this all works out. And I have been asked to attend the Conservation Commission tomorrow night by Leslie from Woods Hole Group to help with the discussion. We have some residents along Winslow's Beach who are concerned about the cobble berm enhancement. That is one of the proposals for the CZM application for beach nourishment. We want to make sure that it does not delay the Wrexham Beach and the Bay Ave areas from being able to receive beach nourishment. So I'll probably end up attending that. Karen, do you have anything else we can add?
Just a reminder that we have the zoning hearing at the next meeting.
As well, yes. Fortunately, it's not major zoning changes, so hopefully that will go smoothly and quickly as well.
Next meeting's the 22nd?
Next meeting is the 14th of March.
14th. Okay.
And then after that is March 28th. So the 14th will be a little busy, but tonight you're getting out early, so.
We've been out earlier. And later, like in Karen's day when we spent many hours.
No, I kept it shorter and shorter, but there were longer nights for sure.
Oh, yeah. All right. Anything else from the board on the report? Okay. Seeing none, thank you for attending and have a good night. I'll make a motion. We close tonight's hearing.
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Thanks, Katie. Nick?
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Fred?
Fred Monaco, aye.
Scott?
Scott DeCastro, aye.
Mike Viviano, aye. Thank you. Conclude the
Thanks,
meeting.
everybody.
Have a good night.
Good
Night.
night.
Good night.